Hi, it's John Vu, and this lesson is on Ole from Trinity College London Drum Kit Grade 3. So this is a Group B piece, which means it isn't played with a backing track. Okay, so if we take a look at the sheet music in the book, you've got the song title at the top of the page. Beneath that, to the left-hand side, you've got the style or genre of the piece. So it says Paso Doble, which is Spanish and translates to two-step. Okay, so this is a popular Spanish dance. Okay, it's upbeat, there's a lot of passion involved, and it's played with a kind of metronomic feel, so very precise with the rhythm. Okay, it's very common in Spanish culture and also other Hispanic cultures as well. Beside that, you've got a quarter note equals 120, so that's the tempo of the piece. Okay, so it's going to be 120 quarter note beats per minute, so it's fairly fast. Okay, then you've got the letter A in a box there, just letting you know, section A, we're straight into section A from bar 1. So looking at the first bar of music, you've got the percussion clef there at the start, letting you know it's drum notation on the stave. And then beside that, we've got the time signature. So we're in 3/4. We've got 3 at the top, which tells us there's 3 beats in the bar, and the 4 at the bottom tells us the note value of the beats. So each beat is a quarter note. So we've got 3 quarter note beats in the bar. So a paso doble is usually played in either 2/4 or 3/4. So in this case, we're playing with 3 beats in the bar. So in the first bar, we've got 2 rhythms. The top rhythm, we've got a dotted half note on the crash cymbal, so that's going to last all 3 beats of the bar. And then the second rhythm, we've got a quarter note on the bass drum on 1, quarter note rest on 2, and then we've got floor tom and snare drum in unison for the 3 and the end of 3. So we've got 2 eighth notes there. Okay, and we've got accents above the crash and also the floor tom and snare drum notes in unison. Okay, so remember, an accent means we need to play those notes with more force, more emphasis, more stress. Okay, so we hit crash and bass drum on 1, then we rest on 2, and we play floor tom and snare drum in unison for the 3 and the end of 3. Okay, and then beneath the bar we've got FF, which is short for fortissimo, which means very loud. Okay, so we're straight in with this piece, a lot of energy, a lot of volume. Okay, so we come in big. So first bar sounds like this: 1, 2, 3. Okay, then in the second bar, we've got the same rhythm, just different orchestration. So we're just going to move the left hand on the 3 and the end of 3 to the medium tom, on the mid tom. Okay, so we come across here. So the second bar, 1, 2, 3. And in the third bar, we move that left hand to the high tom or the small tom. So you got 1, 2, 3. Okay, then in the final bar of the first line, so bar 4, we've got crashes on all the downbeats, so 1, 2, 3, all with accents, so more emphasis, more force and stress on those notes. They're all played with the bass drum, and then we've got eighth note upbeats going round the kit. So we've got an eighth note upbeat on the end of 1 on high tom, eighth note upbeat on the end of 2 mid tom, eighth note upbeat on the end of 3 on the floor tom. So that bar 4 sounds like this: 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that's why I'm playing the crash on the right side of the kit, because you kind of use the left hand on all the toms quite a lot in this piece. So if you play the crash on the left side of the kit, you can kind of get crossed up a bit. Okay, you can still play it like that. So the fourth bar with the crash on the left side of the kit looks like this: 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you've got one on the right, it's just a bit more beneficial because you're more open. You've got more space for that left hand. Okay, so putting that first line together, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so a big explosive line, and then we come into the second line starting at bar 5. We've got another crash for a dotted half note that's played with the bass drum, and then we've got 16 notes on the 2 on the snare drum, so we're going to play those as a single stroke. So we've got 2 E and A, and then we've got 8 notes on the 3 again, floor tom and snare drum in unison. We've got an accent on that crash on the 1, accents on the 3 and the end of 3 with the snare and floor tom in unison. So that bar 5, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you've got to be quick to come over with the right hand onto that floor tom from the second to the third beat. And then in the next bar, again, same rhythm, just different orchestration, move that left hand to the mid tom. So bar 6, 1, 2, 3. then in the next bar, moving that left hand to the high tom. 1, 2, 3. And then in the final bar of that line, bar 8, we've got 2/16 and an 8th note for all 3 beats. So that's 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and. So you're going 2 rack toms, or 2 high toms, kick, 2 mid toms, kick, 2 floor toms, kick. So 1 E and, 2 E and, 3 E and. And on all the bass drums, on those upbeats, those ands, we play the crash. Okay, so you see you've got 8th note rest and an 8th note on the upbeats for all the crashes. Crashes are accented again. Okay, so that bar 8, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that whole line, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you're going to be quick with those hands changing drums. And then in the final line, so the first section, line 3, starting at bar 9, we've got a crash on the 1 for a dotted half note again to last the whole bar. And then the second rhythm, we've got an 8th note on the bass drum, 2 16th notes on the snare drum. So we've got 1 and a, 8th notes on the snare drum on the 2, so that'd be 2 and again, we've got 8th notes on the 3. This time they're both on the high tom and they're played with the bass drum. Okay, so we got those accents at the start, so on the 1 and also the third beat, so the 3 and the and of 3. So you've got 1 and a, 2 and 3 and for the rhythm in bar 9. So it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3. Next bar, same rhythm, just moving those 2 notes to the mid tom on the 3 and the and of 3. So bar 10, 1, 2, 3. And then moving them to the floor tom in the next bar, bar 11. 1, 2, 3. And then in the final bar of that line, bar 12, we got the crashes on the downbeats again, and now we've got the rhythm, an 8th note on the downbeat, 16 notes on the upbeat. So 1 and a, 2 and a, 3 and a. So bass and crashes on the downbeats, and then the and the as going around the kit. So on high tom, mid tom, low tom. So bar 12 sounds like this: 1, 2, 3. Okay, so putting that line together, line 3, so bars 9 to 12, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so that brings us to the end of section A. So we're going to put all 3 lines together to play the whole of section A at the piece tempo, 120 beats per minute. Okay, so pretty fast, just to make sure all those notes are in the right places. Okay, because remember, this needs to sound quite metronomic, so really precise with the rhythm. Make sure there's a lot of passion put into your playing. Okay, so a lot of emphasis on those accented notes, and remember the whole section is fortissimo, so very loud. So you need kind of very come in straight away with lots of power and drama. Okay, so let's try putting the whole of section A together. So now we come on to section B, which starts at bar 13. So we just got a short section here, just 4 bars, so just that one line. We've got a dotted half note on the crash cymbal again, which lasts the whole bar, all 3 beats. And in the second rhythm in that bar, bar 13, we've got a dotted 8th note on the bass drum on the 1, and a snare drum on the ah of 1. So we got 1 ah, and then we got a half note, which lasts for beats 2 and 3, and we got 3 slashes through the stem of the half note, which means we need to play a tremolo. So we're playing a multiple bounce roll or a buzz roll for beats 2 and 3. And then if you look at the start of the next bar, we've got a half note again with 3 slashes, so we need to continue playing the multiple bounce or buzz roll for another 2 beats there as well. Okay, so we've got a multiple bounce roll for beats 2 and 3 at bar 13, and it continues to beats 1 and 2 at bar 14. So we've got 4 beats of a multiple bounce or buzz roll. Okay, and beneath the start of the buzz roll at beat 2 of bar 13, You've got FP beneath it, which is short for forte piano, which means we play it loud and then immediately drop to soft. So we come in loud with the roll and immediately drop down. And then we've got a crescendo through the buzz roll. So we need to gradually get louder as we play that buzz roll. And then at the end of the buzz roll, on the third beat of bar 14, we've got an accented snare drum for an eighth note triplet, and then we've got 2 bass drums for the and the ah. Again, it's eighth note triplet, so that'd be 3 and ah, that rhythm. So if we put those 2 bars together, bars 13 and 14, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when you speed that up, the roll should tighten up. Okay, so that's 16 notes is a good subdivision for the roll. So if you play 16 notes with your hand and just buzz the strokes, that should get you the sound you want. And then in the next bar, bar 15, we've got a crash for a dotted half note again, and now we've got a snare drum for a dotted eighth note. Okay, so you hit the snare and crash in unison, and then we've got the bass drum playing the 16th note on the out of 1, and then we've got another buzz roll there for beats 2 and 3. And again, same dynamics, forte piano, so come in loud with a buzz roll and then immediately drop to soft, and then we crescendo through. In the next bar, bar 16, we've got a quarter note accent on the snare drum. So this buzz roll just lasts for beats 2 and 3 of bar 15, and then it ends on the 1 there of bar 16. Okay, so we're just playing 2 beats of a buzz roll there, or multiple bounce roll. And then after that quarter note on the 1 of bar 16, we play a flam on beat 2 on the high tom. So you can play a left flam or right flam. So you can see the grace note there, that you know it's a flam. And then we've got another flam on the floor tom for beat 3, okay, quarter note. So again, it's up to you with the sticking. So I'm going to alternate my flams. I'll play a right on high tom, left flam on floor tom. So those 2 bars, 15 and 16 sound like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so let's put the whole of section B together, just those 4 bars, bars 13 to 16. So now we come into section C, which starts at bar 17. So in the first bar of section C, we've got a rhythm, 8th note on the downbeat, 16 notes on the upbeats, that'd be 1 and 8th notes on the 2, that'd be 2 and 8th notes on the 3, be 3 and. So we got 1 and 2 and 3 and. We got snare drum and bass drum in unison on the 1, and then we got 2 16th notes on the snare drum, then 2 8th notes on the snare drum, and then we got floor tom and bass drum on the downbeat of 3, medium tom on the end of 3. So that bar is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so if you get the hands first, that might help you. So you got 1, 2, 3. And then putting that bass drum on the downbeat of 1, downbeat of 3. 1, 2, 3. Next bar, in bar 18, we got the same rhythm, just different orchestration. So the 1 with the hand moves to the high tom, and then we also switch the hands around on the 3rd beat as well. So we got medium tom on the downbeat of 3, floor tom on the upbeat of 3. So that bar 18, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so putting those 2 bars together, bar 17 and 18, we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in that first bar, bar 17 there, we're playing open on these 2 toms. And then in the next bar, we kind of crossed over a bit on those 2 toms. Okay, but in the next bar, which is bar 19, we're playing the same thing we did in bar 17. And in the final bar of that line, bar 18, we got a dotted 8th note on the high tom and bass drum in unison. Then we got a snare drum playing a 16th note on the ah of 1. And then we got a quarter note on high tom and bass drum in unison again. And then a crash cymbal on its own on the 3 for a quarter note. So that the rhythm of that bar is 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it sounds like this: 1, 2, 3. And we got an accent above the first note in the bar there on the 1, the 2, and also the 3. So we're just accenting those downbeats. Okay, so more emphasis and force on those notes. And then looking at the dynamics of that line, so underneath bar 17, we've got MF, which is short for mezzo forte, half loud. And then beneath bar 20, the last bar of that line, it says sub F, short for subito forte, which means suddenly loud. Okay, so we're playing mezzo forte, and then we need a dramatic, like sudden change in dynamic there for that bar. So 1 at 2 3 at forte, so nice and loud. So that line sounds like this: 1 2 3. But in the next line, starting at bar 21, we've got the same rhythm as what we played in the previous line. So 1 and a 2 and 3 and. Now we've got a flam on snare, 2/16 on snare, 2 8th notes on the snare, 2 8th notes on the bass drum. So bar 21 sounds like this: 1 2 3. And then same rhythm, just moving that flam and 2/16 notes and 2 8th notes onto the high tom. So you got 1 2 3. And then back to the snare in bar 23, which is the same as bar 21. And then we end the line playing 16th notes around the kit. So 1 note on each drum, a single strokes, and a crash cymbal on the 2, quarter note rest on 3. So that bar 24, 1 2 3. Okay, and again, dynamically that line beneath bar 21, MF, mezzo forte, half loud, and the last bar of that line, bar 24, sub F, subito forte, suddenly loud. Okay, and we've got accents above all of those notes in bar 24. Okay, so that line sounds like this: 1 2 3. Okay, so let's put that section together, section C, so those 2 lines. So make sure you've got the dynamics in there. Sudden changes, okay, really exaggerate the change from mezzo forte to subito forte. Okay, and just make sure rhythms are very metronomic and precise. Okay, so let's try section C. So now we come into section D, which starts at bar 25. So in the first line of section D, we got 8th notes with the hands, and we got a pattern played here, 4-bar pattern. So the right hand is moving round the toms, left hand is staying on the snare drum. So in the first bar, bar 25, right hand plays floor tom, then it moves to mid tom, then it moves to high tom. Left just stays playing 8th note upbeats on the snare drum. So you're going from low to high with the toms. So the hands sound like this: 1 2 3. And we've got accents on the downbeats. You want to accent the toms, hit those with more force, more emphasis. And then foot pattern, you've got quarter notes. First beat on bass drum, second and third beat on hi-hat with foot. So you've got. Okay, so just holding that ostinato with the feet. Okay, then in the second bar, you can see it says sim above the bar there, which is short for simile. So it just means we need to play something similar. So in the second bar, you play exactly what you played in that first bar. And in the next bar, you just change up the orchestration of the tom slightly. So we start right hand on floor tom, and then we go to high tom for second beat, move across to mid tom for third beat. And in the final bar of the line, we start on high tom and we move round to medium, down to floor. Okay, so we've got just a slight change up with the hand orchestration to change up the sound. So that's why it's a 4-bar rhythm. Okay, so if we go through all 4 bars, so the first line of section D sounds like this: 1 2 3. Okay, then in the next line, starting at bar 29, we're playing, well, we've got the same idea, the kind of orchestration of the fills, but we're changing rhythm to 8th note triplets. Now you've got 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a for the rhythm. The right hand's doing the same thing with the downbeats. Okay, so we got floor tom, mid tom, high tom, floor tom, mid tom, high tom, floor tom, high tom, mid tom, high tom, mid tom, floor tom. And the left hand's just playing all the and a 8th note triplets. So 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a. Okay, so that line sounds like this: 1 2 3. And then in the next line, you're changing the rhythm to 16th notes. So now you're playing 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a, again, same idea with the toms. So they hit the same downbeats. Then you're just filling in on the snare drum a 16th note. So left, right, left. So you're playing single strokes for this line. Okay, so putting this line together with the bar in the next line as well. So bars 33 to 36. So we're playing that whole line, third line of section D, and then the first bar of the next line. We got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're going to put that all together now to play section D. Okay, when looking at the dynamics, we've got MF beneath the first line, mezzo forte half loud, and then we increase the dynamic to forte for the second line when we change to 8th note triplets, and then we increase the dynamic to fortissimo for the next line when we change the subdivision to 16th notes. Okay, so again, make sure those dynamic changes are kind of exaggerated. Okay, you want to make sure they're really clear to kind of portray the passion in this music. Okay, so let's try putting section D together. So now we come on to section E, which starts at bar 37. So in bar 37, we've got a rhythm on the floor tom. So we've got a dotted 8th note and a 16th note on the first beat. So that's 1, ah. And then we've got a quarter note on 2. And then we've got 8th notes on 3. So you've got 1, a 2, 3, and with the hands. So right, left, left. Bass drum playing quarter notes on the 1 and the 2. And then we've got a quarter note rest on 3. So that bar sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. And beneath the bar it says sub P, short for subito P, so suddenly soft. Okay, so in the previous bar you were at fortissimo, very loud. Now for this bar, the start of section E, we drop down to sudden change to soft. Okay, in the next bar, bar 38, we've got 16 notes on the 1 on the floor tom, quarter note on 2, 8th notes on 3. So 1E and a 2, 3, and so that bar 1, 2, 3. And then in the next bar, we've got an 8th note and 2 16th notes on the first beat. So that's 1 and a, 8th notes on 2, 2 and, 8th notes on 3, 3 and. So that's 1 and a, 2 and, 3 and. First note, the 8th note on the downbeat of 1 starts on floor tom, and then we're going round the tom. So you've got and a on high tom, 2 and on mid tom, and then 3 and on floor tom. So that bar 39, sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. And then beneath the bar you've got crescendo, which means we need to gradually get louder through that bar. So we're at piano soft, and you need to get louder. And looking at the next bar, bar 40, we've got an F beneath that bar, which is short for forte, which means loud. So we want to crescendo through from piano to forte, so from soft to loud, so quite a big increase in dynamic there through that bar. And then we've got a bass drum for a quarter note on the 1 of bar 40, and then we've got a crash and snare drum in unison for a quarter note on the 2, and we've got an accent above that note, okay, the crash snare drum in unison, and we've got a quarter note rest on 3. So we just hit the 1 on bass drum, crash and snare drum on the 2. So that bar is 1, 2, 3. Okay, and that brings us to the end of section E, so it's just 4 bars. So let's try and put the whole of section E together now with the dynamics. And now we come into the final section of the song, section F, which starts at bar 41. So we've got a little bit of coordination, a bit of independence in this section. Okay, so with the hands, we've got quarter notes. Okay, so in the first bar of section F, bar 41, we're playing those quarter notes, snare drum and floor tom in unison. So we got 1, 2, 3, and we got accents on beats 2 and 3. So we need to play those 2 beats with more emphasis, more force, more stress. Okay, so the hands sound like this, 1, 2, 3. Then with the feet underneath that, we're playing alternate 8th notes, starting with the left foot. Okay, so we got left, right, hi-hat with foot, bass drum, hi-hat with foot, bass drum. Okay, so we start on the left side. So we got 1, 2, 3. Okay, so left's keeping downbeats and the right's on the bass drums playing those upbeats. Okay, so first of all, let's try left foot and hands. We got 1, 2, 3. And then you want to put the bass drum in between. So we got 1, 2, 3. In the next bar, we got the same thing. Okay, so you just play that again. And then in the next bar, bar 43, we're just changing the orchestration with the hands. So you're moving that left hand from the snare drum to the mid-tom. Okay, so we come across. Same dynamic, so non-accented note on the 1 and then 2 accented notes on the 2 and the 3. Okay, then in the next bar, we move that left hand to the high tom. Okay, so similar theme to what we played previously in this song. So we want to put those 4 bars together. So the first 2 bars of the section, floor tom and snare drum in unison. Then the next bar, mid tom and floor tom. Next bar, high tom and floor tom. So the hands, 1, 2, 3. Add in the left foot. Bass drum on all the upbeats. 1, 2, 3. And then dynamics, you've got an MP beneath the first bar of section F, bar 41, which is short for mezzo piano, half soft. We play the same dynamic in the next bar, and then looking at bar 43, where we move the left hand to the mid-tom, we change the dynamic of that bar to MF, which is short for mezzo forte, half loud. So we come up in dynamic, and in the next bar, bar 44, we got a crescendo, so we need to gradually get louder. And looking at the start of the next bar, we got FF, short for fortissimo. Okay, so we're increasing the dynamic in bar 44 through from mezzo forte, half loud, to fortissimo, very loud. Okay, so again, big increase in dynamic through that bar. Okay, and then in the next bar, bar 45, we've got a dotted 8th note on the snare drum, 16th note on the upbeats. So you've got 1 on snare drum, and then we've got a buzz roll again for beats 2 and 3. So we've got that half note, 3 slashes through it there, letting us know we're playing a buzz roll for beats 2 and 3. With accents above those notes as well, okay, so nice and loud. We're at fortissimo anyway, okay, so big sounding notes there. And in the last line, we got a crash cymbal for a dotted half note, which lasts the whole bar. And the second rhythm in that bar, bar 46, we've got a quarter note on the bass drum, flam for an 8th note triplet on the high tom, and then 2 kicks for the and the 8th note triplets. That'd be 2 and then we got floor tom flam for the 3, and then 2 bass drums on the and the again. Okay, so that bar 46 sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so again, it's up to you with the sticking for the flams. And then in the next bar, bar 47, we're playing the same thing we did in bar 45. So that dotted 8th note on snare drum, 16th note on snare drum, and then the buzz roll for beats 2 and 3. And then in the next bar, bar 48, crash cymbal for a dotted half note again. Bass drum for a quarter note, the rhythm underneath that. Then we've got 8th note triplets again for beats 2 and 3. So we've got 2 snare drums played right, 1 high tom played with left, 2 mid toms played right, 1 low tom played with left. Okay, so that rhythm for that bar is 1, 2 and 3 and same rhythm that you played in bar 46. Just make sure you got that sticking pattern. So right, left, right, left, going round the drums there. So we got 1, 2, 3. And then we finish in the final bar with a dotted half note crash cymbal as an accent, and we've got a bass drum there on the 1. Rest, a quarter note rest for beats 2 and 3, so just finish with that crash cymbal. Okay, so that brings us to the end of section F, so we're going to put that whole section together now. So the first part of that section, we've got that independence, okay, and dynamics, the increase in dynamics, and also the accents. And then we got some more technical parts in the second part of section F with the buzz rolls, and also the 8th note triplets with flams, okay, and the sticking pattern 8th note triplets, finishing with that crash. Okay, so let's put the whole of section F together. So that's all of the sections. So you want to make sure you can transition from one section to another. So a good idea, first of all, is to take two sections. So you could try sections A and B. Make sure you can transition through those two sections. Then take another two sections, maybe B and C. Okay, try that. Then C and D, D and E, and then E and F. Okay, just to make sure you can transition from one to another. Once you got that, we're going to try to put the whole piece together now to make sure we've got that nice flow through the whole piece. Okay, so remember, this is a paso doble, a dance, a Spanish dance that portrays a lot of passion. Okay, so big exaggerations in the dynamic changes. Okay, so really portray that in your playing. Really feel like, really become part of the music. Okay, really kind of absorb what the music is all about. Listen to some other paso dobles to kind of get an idea of the emotion you need to portray in this piece. Okay, so make sure it's quite metronomic and precise with the rhythm. Okay, so really make sure you're in time with the rhythms. It kind of, the rhythms sound quite military, okay? Really precise. Make sure you've got that in this piece as well. Okay, so let's try putting the whole piece together now, flowing from section to section all the way through. Okay, so when you practice these parts, make sure you practice at a comfortable tempo for you. Don't rush this piece, okay? Develop your drumming, that's the important bit. Okay, so if you find there's parts of this, sections of this that you find challenging, spend some time on that and develop those skills, okay? So you don't want to rush through and kind of just scrape through. You want to make sure each section is comfortable. If you feel comfortable when you play, your playing sounds so much better, and that's what we want, okay? That's the goal. Okay, so address those weaknesses first of all, really develop them. Once you feel stronger and more comfortable, that's when you want to flow and put this whole piece together. Okay, so have fun with it, learn it, enjoy it, and we'll see you in the next lesson.